What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We have our first result for round 2 of the Rugby Championships. The All Blacks taking this one 35 points to 20 in a much more dominant game than I was expecting. When I was doing the preview video for this one, I did say I thought this one might be, a bit of a tooth and nail battle, the exchanging of 3 points and an overall pretty close scoreboard. But New Zealand today really stepping it up. So of course we're doing a review video going over some of the key match highlights from the game, some stats and some thoughts on the game. If you enjoy it, make sure to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this style of video to keep up to date with all of the latest content about the Rugby Championship. So New Zealand taking this with a confident win. I did hear before the match started that the Springboks have actually won 10 of their last 45 trips to Auckland, and you can see why when New Zealand are playing at home they just seem to step it up that extra little mark and get it all correct. And it's not all just praise to New Zealand here. There were a couple of issues that stung South Africa today, and I'm sure a couple of Springbok supporters will certainly be a little disappointed in their overall performance. The first 20 minutes of the game, it's all New Zealand. It's all New Zealand. I was really astonished to see quite how dominant they were. 93% possession to New Zealand in that opening 20 minutes. I don't think I've ever heard of a stat so high at Tier 1 international rugby. Maybe at 10 minutes when one team takes the lead. 20 minutes, though, absolutely brutal. And New Zealand making the most of it, getting 15 points on the board in that opening 20 minutes. It actually took 35 minutes for the Springboks to even get on the board with their penalty later on. With the 2 tries for New Zealand coming in from Aaron Smith and Shannon Frizzell, both of which started out by a player that absolutely exceeded expectations today, Will Jordan, having a brilliant game. Now, I've been a little bit critical of Will Jordan in the past when he plays for New Zealand. They put him out on that right wing, and I really think he performs better at a fullback position, like when we see him at the Crusaders. I've never really felt like he's landed it completely at the winger position for New Zealand. I feel like he gets left alone on the outside. No one gets the ball quick enough to him. They utilised him completely differently in this game today, and what an enhancement. He played like he was playing at fullback. He was constantly in the midfield. He was constantly on the shoulder of other players, hitting brilliant lines, carving through the defence. And I didn't actually get to hear who was man of the match. The Sky coverage in the UK, not necessarily the best for that sort of stuff, but I think Will Jordan might be up there for man of the match for me today. I thought he was absolutely a key component in this win today. I thought he had a brilliant game, but both tries coming in basically off the back of him doing so much work and someone else getting to finish. Aaron Smith taking a nice lovely pass and running it over himself. Shannon Frizzell had a bit more work to do, to be fair, had to power over the line, and Shannon Frizzell's another one of those ones. The open side flanker for New Zealand, I'm still not 100% confirmed on like who is going to be starting in that position. So many other positions I feel like I already know who's going to be in those shirts. The open side flanker was up for a bit debate for me going into this Rugby Championship, but Shannon Frizzell over the last 2 games has just gone from strength to strength. A few penalties today going against him. He just commits to that breakdown sometimes a little bit too hard. But just the general power game for him, thought it was absolutely fantastic. The conversions as well coming in from Mwanga in that opening 15 minutes, along with the penalty kicking game from him today. Very good. 6 from 7, a much better step up for me than what we were getting to see with Damien McKenzie last week. I think he had a bit more wind to deal with last week, to be fair. But Richie Mwanga also having a superb game. So like I said, New Zealand definitely taking that opening 20, and South Africa sort of being their own worst enemy at times. We saw a couple of issues that just shouldn't have arisen. New Zealand definitely exploiting the high ball today, and were winning that aerial battle more often than not. There was a couple of issues from catching, people getting beaten in the air, but also just catching. There was one kick that went straight to Damien Dialende under absolutely no pressure and just completely missed the catch, and the ball went on. A couple of key issues for them today with just the knock-ons, the missed catches, easy penalties, another one. Aaron Smith is like one of the kings of knowing what the law is and being able to exploit it for his own game. We did get to see one of those sort of lazy runner penalties where Stephen Kitchoff just trying to get back on side. Aaron Smith saw him, not really paying attention, just blast the ball at him. There's a penalty, easy as you go, and there's a 3 points. So, so many easy penalties, just not, appreciating what the All Blacks were going to be bringing to this game, and the All Blacks absolutely exploited it all the way. Now, South Africa did get on the board, Faf de Klerk getting his kick over in the 35 minute. They also had the opportunity for one try, a crossfield kick going over, and Cheslin Colby sort of dotting the ball down really hard to pick up what happened there. The try was disallowed, a really hard call. That is probably one of the most 50-50 calls you can get in rugby. I think if you're an All Black supporter, it was never a try. If you're a Springbok supporter, that was a try all day long. It got disallowed for actually not, touching the ball down. I actually didn't necessarily agree with that decision. I actually think it was actually more of a knock on in the air that actually came first. I feel like we've actually seen tries given for that exact amount of hand contact on a ball placing it down before. I think maybe Cheslin Colby was a bit hard done by in terms of the placement of the ball, but I do think there was maybe a knock on in that collision along the way. But that was about as 50-50 as you can get. And a couple of other stages just towards the end of that first half as well. South Africa just not being clinical, not getting over that try line, pushing New Zealand all the way back to their own 5 metres. But the New Zealand defence today, absolutely superb. Again, Shannon Frizzell defensively, brilliant, getting himself over for turnovers. Ardie Savea defending incredibly well. As much as it was South Africa not completing the move, it was also, a big positive for All Blacks being able to defend their own 5 metre line so consistently. Just a sort of stat to back that up as well, because I did go and find this one out. Number of rucks in the opposition 22 in this opening half. New Zealand had 6 rucks in that South African 22, and they got 2 tries on the board plus a penalty. They're not spending a great deal of time there. South Africa, rucks in the New Zealand 22. 23 of them. That's so much possession to have in that 22 right at the end of that first half and not converting it into points, only getting that 1 penalty, and that first half ending 17 points to 3. And I wasn't even sure if going for the penalty was the right move for them. They're 17-0 down on the board. You feel like they wanted to get a try, but that was the only points for them in the half, so maybe that was the right call, just to try and boost their momentum a bit going into the second half. The second half definitely saw a shift. South Africa bringing on a lot of substitutions in that first sort of 5 or 6 minutes. 4 of the forwards coming on, trying to make an impact, and an impact they did make. The tempo of the game felt like it shifted. Game plans felt like they shifted as well. Malcolm Marx got over for his try in the 53rd minute. The replacement forwards coming on. Maybe New Zealand getting a little bit tired. South Africa setting themselves up right towards the 5 metre line. Huge driving maul from them, and a really big, powerful move getting over. The impact of some of those big names that they did have on the bench, Mark, Steph du Toit, Vermeulen coming on, making a real big impact and really forcing New Zealand into making their own changes because they could see that momentum beginning to shift. And actually the way the Springboks were playing in that second half, I much preferred. The open gameplay was working really well for New Zealand. The kicks over the top, spreading out to the wings, getting around the side. South Africa defending too narrowly. South Africa sort of shifted it up in the opening 20 of the second half by basically going from set play to set play. They had confidence in their own set play going through the lineouts, and the scrummaging was sort of flip-flopping either way depending on who was putting the ball in. They had confidence. They were just going from set play to set play and helping them move up the field. But at the end of that sort of 60-minute marker, that sort of impact from the bench began to feel like it was wearing off. Everyone had settled down into the game. New Zealand making their own substitutions going on. Tamaiti Williams making a really nice impact into this game, to be fair. Young lad coming on, making his debut, but involved in the scrums absolutely everywhere. He's making a really nice impact from him. Big old unit getting in there for such a young lad. Next round the board was Cheslin Colby. A lovely try from him. The ball, actually probably the best attack of the whole game for the South African team, came in that sort of 60th minute. Just going through the phases, offloading, New Zealand having to commit 2 men to basically every tackle, really narrowing up. The ball spread out to the right. Willie Leroux throwing a pass, looked maybe a little bit forwards. It's very flat, let's call it that. Got out to Cheslin Colby, but a superb finish from him, diving from like the 5 metre line to get over, but that conversion missed along the way. New Zealand, though, did bounce back. Took them a little bit of a while just to settle in. They weathered the storm, as New Zealand tend to be very good at, and then they really begin to bite back through those backs again. Will Jordan getting over for his try. Really nice to see him get over for a try today, because I thought he had such a good game. New Zealand on the big charge. South Africa trying to defend well, but again, it was an issue that came across for the Boks today. Their defensive line just shifting all around the park. There was a number of times this game their line did not seem to be set. Players in the completely wrong position from where they're meant to be defending. Absolutely seen by Bowden Barrett. Cut against the grain. Little chip kick over the top. Nobody marking Will Jordan. That's probably the last man in the world of international rugby you want to have nobody marking. Well controlled by him on the bounce to pick it up. And Richie Mwunga's try also, really nicely worked try. 5 metre scrum for New Zealand. Ardie Savea picking up that ball. Everyone's eyes are on Ardie Savea. Of course they are. You can't leave him alone. One pass out to Mwanga, again, just no one there. Really nice line from him getting over. And the only kick he missed actually today was his own conversion from his own try. But to be fair, his eye was looking pretty busted by the end. I'm not sure how good the vision was, but a great kicking game from him today. Last one on the boards, then Quagga Smith getting over for a really nice try at the end. I thought he had a good game today. Again, I don't think the commentators talked about him a lot, but there was a lot of hard graft going in from him. But New Zealand being put on that back foot a little bit. Managed to get a turnover actually in their own 22. Tried to play it out rather than just sort of kick it out, which had worked well for them all day. Got smashed in the midfield in a ruck. Nobody supporting in that ruck. And Quagga Smith just ran over, picked up the ball straight out of Finlay Christie's hands and just ran over for a try. Really nice from him. And South Africa did try and take the kick quickly. They went through Libok, went for a drop goal and hit the post of them today. So 2 kicks actually coming off the post for South Africa today. But a big win for New Zealand, 35 points to 20. Congratulations to New Zealand. A really solid performance from New Zealand today. I was actually much more impressed with this game compared to the Argentina one last week. I thought they got so many different components of the game working really well together. The way they utilised Will Jordan was so much better in this game than previous games I've seen for New Zealand. The backs were absolutely devastating. The way they were using the kicking game just to find room in that backfield, pinning them back, winning that aerial pressure, putting a lot of pressure on Willie LaRue in that backfield as well. And although the Springboks did mount that sort of comeback in that sort of 40 to 60 minute period, I think their own mistakes and their own issues certainly didn't live up to the bar that was set by New Zealand. And I think overall New Zealand absolutely deserved to win this game today. And you have to say that opening 20 minutes, New Zealand scored like 15 points in that opening 20 minutes. And they win by 20 minutes on the scoreboard at the end. So, the impact it makes to start off a game strong. New Zealand laying down that gauntlet and coming away with the win. But there we are, guys. That is going to be the review for today. If you have enjoyed, remember to leave it a like. Remember to drop your own thoughts on the game down in the comments section, because I really enjoy having a read through everyone's thoughts on the game. I'm off to go watch the Wallabies versus Argentina game that's coming up very shortly. I hope you all enjoyed this one today, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.